Bam Leute und willkommen zurück mal wieder zur letzten Folge von Phoenix. Wright, Ace Attorney. Ja, ich hab's, ist irgendwie so mein Ding, die letzte Folge anzukündigen, obwohl es gar nicht die letzte Folge ist. Siehe vorherige Folge und siehe vorherige Fall. Ich hab's nicht so mit den Enden, scheinbar. Aber ich glaube, diesmal ist es wirklich die letzte Folge von dem ersten Teil der Trilogie Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney. Und wir haben noch einen Recess bekommen. Und sind jetzt hoffentlich wirklich im letzten Teil der Court Session im Courtroom Number 9. Im letzten Part hatte Chief Gant die Aussage verweigert. Und nun befragen wir Lana als unsere letzte Option. Und hoffen, dass wir auf einen grünen Zweig kommen. Let's go. Und Emma ist wieder da. Na denn. Und nebenbei, ich habe jetzt alle diese 3 Court-Folgen in Folge aufgenommen. Ich hoffe, meine Stimme hält das aus. Ich gebe mir Mühe. Will the defendant, Miss Lana Skye, please take the stand? Miss Lana Skye, you are the chief prosecutor. I'm sure you're aware of what is required of you. But, Mr. Edgeworth, you already know everything. You know all that I've done these past 2 years. Please provide the court with your testimony, Miss Skye. And remember, you are under oath. We want to hear the truth. Of course, the truth. Lana, no matter what happens, I'll always be your sister. Now then, your testimony, if you will. First, tell us about your relationship with the Chief Gant. Everything hinges on your testimony. You're the only chance we have to get Gant. Gant and the fabrication. I worked alongside Gant for years. There's no truth to this blackmail theory. I fabricated the evidence 2 years ago all by myself. When I found Prosecutor Marshall's body, I rearranged the crime scene. My only motivation was to get Dark convicted. It had nothing to do with Emma. Du nimmst mir die Worte aus dem Mund. Are you sure about this testimony? Your Honor, I'm confessing to a capital offense. Of course, I'm sure. But Lana... If this is true, then that means Chief Gant has nothing to do with this. That's what I've been telling you from the beginning. Please, Mr. Wright, you've got to help her. She's sacrificing herself because of me. But what if she's telling the truth? She's not. I know my own sister. Whenever she speaks stiffly like that, she's hiding something inside. Deep down, she's really screaming in agony. Yeah, this is no time to start second-guessing myself. Defense may now begin its cross-examination. So, I worked alongside Gant for years. Ja, das ist bekannt. There's no truth to this blackmail theory. But think about it, Miss Skye. You didn't murder Detective Goodman. You told me as much yesterday in jail. You still don't get it, do you, Mr. Wright? Any testimony you cannot present in court is as useless as idle gossip. I stabbed Detective Goodman with a knife. And fabricated the evidence 2 years ago all by myself. Did you do so to help your sister? Joe Dark was a serial killer. My sister almost became his last victim that day. I didn't want that incident to ruin her life. But what she did was justifiable self-defense. She wouldn't have been charged with anything. That's not the point. She was traumatized that day, all because of that creep. That's why I couldn't forgive him. Lana. So, that's why you fabricated the evidence 2 years ago? I rearranged the crime scene. Okay. You say you did this all by yourself? Yes. Would you mind telling us what you found when you arrived at the crime scene? Ja, das wäre interessant. It seems I was the first person to discover the scene. The broken prosecutor award knife was stuck in the victim's body. What? But Prosecutor Marshall died from an unfortunate accident. That's only a situation you dreamed as was possible. The reality is, it wasn't my sister who took the prosecutor's life. Fantasize all you want, Mr. Wright, but I'll never change this statement. I mean, Prosecutor Marshall wound up being killed by Dark. Something like that. If that is so, what happened to the other murder weapon? Dark was carrying a switchblade knife. Oh, that was lying on the floor, a little distance away. It was probably knocked away in the struggle. That's not how it went down. She's trying to cover up her lies with more lies. All just to protect me. So, when you found a scene like this, what did you do? After all, this is what everything boils down to. Yes. I broke off the tip of Dark's knife, planted it inside the wound, then moved the body. Okay. You planted the tip of Dark's knife in the victim's wound, and then you moved the body? But why? Why would you do that? You of all people should know, Edgeworth. You've always had a good head on your shoulders. Well, yeah, it isn't that bad, but maybe I ought to ask for the sake of the others. Why did you plant the knife? Why did you move the body? Why did you plant the knife? But why did you do that? Come now, Mr. Wright. Even you should be able to figure it out. Very well, let's add this to the witness testimony. The reason Miss Guy fabricated the knife. I knew the tip of the weapon found buried in his body would be all the proof we needed. Okay. According to your testimony, Prosecutor Marshall's broken knife was the murder weapon, right? Yes, and leaving it at that might point the blame away from Dark. I felt the most effective way to get him convicted would be by having the tip of his knife found inside the victim's body. Okay, ja, macht Sinn. So you buried it inside the victim's stab wound? Yes. Because I hated Dark for what he did. My only motivation was Dark convicted, blah blah, not with Emma. Okay. So you rearranged the crime scene. Are you sure you didn't do this to keep Emma from looking like the murderer? How many times do I have to tell you, Mr. Wright? Emma didn't do it. Period. Are you so desperate to hide that fact? You're willing to risk the death sentence? She's lying. She did it so I wouldn't be blamed for what happened. In any case, as a prosecutor, what I've done is unpardonable. There's nothing I can do to make up for my actions. Mr. Wright, my sister's lying. Looks like she's determined to protect you to the end. Ich habe, glaube ich, mehr Angst vor Gant als vor dem, was Emma getan hat. She insists she fabricated the evidence by herself. There's no way she could have done it alone. Got to get Lana to talk more. If she's lying, then she's bound to slip up and make a contradiction. Okay. Broke the tip and tied it in the body. I knew the tip of the wound found, tip of the weapon found buried in his body would be all the proof he needed. Ist da irgendetwas falsch an der Aussage? Das ist die letzte Aussage, die wir gekriegt haben. Broke off the tip of Dark's knife. Planted it inside the wound. And moved the body. Aber... Ja gut, nee. Ich wollte gerade sagen, es ist ja noch Blut an dem Messer, aber das kann sie ja auch easy einfach dran kleben. All by myself. Was haben wir denn hier? Found at the crime scene, wrapped in the defendant's muffler. Es ist alles so kompliziert, Mensch. Goddammit. Wie machen wir das? Warum hat sie dann das Messer versteckt? Ich habe irgendwie keine Ahnung gerade im Moment. Stabbed in the back, died from punctured heart and lung. I broke off the tip of Dark's knife, planted it inside the wound, then moved the body. I knew the tip of the weapon found would be all the proof he needed. Ich will noch mal kurz gucken, was sie sagt. According to your testimony, broken knife was the murder weapon. Ja. That was the victim's body. Ich sehe es gerade nicht. Ich mache mal das. Ja, das hatten wir schon. Then you move the body. Why did you do that? Ach ja, ich kann hier noch... Why did you move the body? Okay, vielleicht kriegen wir hier noch was raus. When you showed up on the scene, where exactly was the victim's body? It was where you deduced it. It was by Chief Gant's desk. But the body was found by your desk. Why did you move it there? The reason for that is simple. Let's have the witness explain this in more detail. The reason Miss Guy moved the body. Okay, wir kriegen noch was. The pieces of the chart that shattered during the events threatened my plan. Okay. Okay. Pieces of the jar, you mean...
Yes, the red jar you showed us earlier. In order to show that Drake committed the crime, I felt it would be more expedient to move the body.
So, when you first found the body, the jar was already...
Of course, it had been shattered to pieces. If you looked at the crime scene, it would be clear right away what happened. Neil Marshall was dead and Doc was lying unconscious. In other words, the jar must have been broken during their struggle.
I see. What's the matter, Emma?
Apparently the jar shattered at the time the crime was committed. But I have a feeling there is more to it than that.
There must be a contradiction here somewhere. Okay.
Anyway, I committed this fabrication completely alone.
Okay, the pieces of the jar that shattered during the events threatened my plan. Also wollte Emma darauf hinaus, dass sie nicht zerbrochen ist, währenddessen die gekämpft haben. Oh, ja, ja. I see, I see. Die Vase kann nicht beim Kampf kaputt gegangen sein, sondern sie muss nachträglich kaputt geschlagen worden sein, weil sonst hätte man nichts so schön da drauf schreiben können. Wenn sie schon in Stücke gewesen wäre, dann hätte man es nicht über die ganze Vase hinschreiben können. Yes! Puh! Alter, war ich vorhin gerade ein bisschen lost, aber zum Glück habe ich die andere Option noch gesehen. Miss Guy, I understand how you feel. You committed that crime 2 years ago to protect your sister.
You mean the forgery at this scene where Neil Marshall was murdered?
Ach ja, sie hat wahrscheinlich die Jar kaputt gemacht, weil Emma drauf stand. Ja. If that truth were to be exposed now, the past 2 years of your life will have been in vain. Even so, I am compelled to bring to everyone's attention a significant contradiction within your testimony.
A contradiction in my testimony?
You testified, and I quote, "The pieces of the jar that shattered during the events threatened my plan."
That's right. Do you have a problem with that?
It's a simple oversight, really. You see, a message was written on this jar with the victim's blood.
Yes, the prosecutor must have written it in his final moments.
Exactly so. And this is where the contradiction lies. In order for the victim to be able to write this message on the jar, it must not yet have been broken before he died.
Ah.
He couldn't have written Emma's name on a shattered jar. Well, he could, but nicht über die ganze Jar, sondern nur auf einem Stück. Aber es war über mehrere Stücke verteilt, das Blut.
Order, order!
Your Honor, it would appear more information is needed in regard to this jar and its bloody message. We may be missing something critical here.
Something critical?
Chief Prosecutor, it seems you're as in the dark as we are about the truth towards which we're headed.
What?
Just tell us exactly what you saw. We'll piece together the information to arrive at the truth.
Very well. The witness may now continue your testimony.
Jar and message in blood.
I immediately noticed the blood traces on the jar, but it was dark in the room and I didn't have time to check it out. To be safe, I wiped away the blood. The fragments were large, so I'm sure I got them all. All I could think about was wiping them clean before they were discovered.
You mean you were the one who wiped away the message in blood?
I wasn't chief prosecutor at the time. She didn't think Dark was the real murderer. That's why she tried to erase the real evidence.
Very well, the defense may now begin its cross-examination.
Alles klar. Okay. So the jar was already broken.
It's a miracle that thing hadn't broken earlier.
It certainly looks as feeble as the defense's case.
Not as feeble as the judge's judgment. You were a nice detective who never missed a detail. Do you really expect us to believe that you didn't investigate what was written on the jar pieces?
Normally, I would have.
It was dark in the room and I didn't have time to check it out. So you didn't know your sister's name was written on the jar?
No. If I had known, I would have gathered all the pieces and ground them to dust.
Well, that helps my case.
Hannah, you do that for me?
Seems you two might make up yet.
Anyway, I just barely had enough time to move the body as it was.
Someone happened upon the scene, you'd lose your chance to erase the evidence. You must have been in a hurry.
I was. I knew I had to destroy the evidence before anyone came.
This is rather shocking.
Zählt jetzt die Wahrheit? I wiped away the blood. I'm afraid this action of yours reveals what really happened.
What do you mean?
If you really thought Dark killed Prosecutor Marshall, you wouldn't have wiped away the blood.
What else could I have done in that situation?
Lana!
I only had a few moments. There wasn't enough time for me to do anything else but gather up the pieces.
The fragments were large, so I'm sure I got them all. But how could you see with the power out? It should have been pitch black in that office.
A detective is always prepared, Mr. Wright. Even now, I always carry a pocket light and a camera with me. Even I carry a bottle of emergency luminol wherever I go. I never miss anything. I got every last piece.
All I could think about was wiping them clean before they were discovered. About that, the fragments were so large, I'm sure I got them all. Hat sie nicht, weil es gibt ein Stück, wo er es ja nicht wo sie es nicht weggewischt hat, da wo die Linie ist, und das war in Chief Gans Safe. Soll ich das einfach mal pressen? Es war nochmal die Jar. Nice. Miss Guy, I believe this jar conceals a truth even you were unaware of.
What?
We found the final piece of this jar in Chief Gant's safe.
In the chief's safe? But how?
I knew it. She really didn't know. There's something even more disturbing about that final piece. There was still blood on it.
But the witness just testified that she gathered every last piece and wiped the blood off of them.
Yes, which leaves us with only one explanation. On the night Prosecutor Marshall was murdered, you were not the first one to show up on the scene. Chief Gant got there before you.
But couldn't the defendant have simply missed a piece?
I'm afraid that's unlikely. The pieces are too big for anyone to miss, let alone an ace detective.
That may well be, but everyone makes mistakes. Even I once wasted an entire day looking for my dentures. They were in my mouth all alone. Can you believe that?
Have you forgotten, Your Honor? When this witness arrived at the scene, the jar was already broken.
Oh, that...
There's no way a name could have been written on a shattered jar. Another person discovered the scene prior to the witness. Und hat dann die Jar kaputt gemacht, ein Stück versteckt und der Rest hat dann Lana gefunden.
I hope you're not implying this person was Chief Gant. At the time he was looking for dark downstairs. Besides, even if he was there first, why would he break the jar?
The question is, if he did arrive there first, why did he hide that fact for 2 years? Well, Your Honor, can you answer us that?
No. No.
Warum ist jetzt plötzlich...
Wait, I'm not the one on trial here.
And again arrived at the crime scene prior to the witness. He proceeded to break the jar and purposefully hid one of the broken pieces. Question: what is this action called? Fabrication of evidence.
But why would Chief Gant do that?
In light of what happened afterwards, isn't it clear?
What happened afterwards?
Scouring the scene, Lana Skye believed her sister Emma killed the victim. Determined to help her sister, she sought Gant's aid. Lending her his aid, Gant helped her create evidence that incriminated Dark, sparing Emma. And therein lies the reason why Miss Skye became the Chief's puppet.
No! I did it on my own. Please, sis, stop trying to protect the Chief. I can't watch you suffer anymore, for my sake. No, you didn't. It wasn't you, Emma. You didn't kill anyone. Don't believe anything Mr. Wright says. Defense attorneys make up the most foul lies to defend their clients.
Foul lies? Imagine that coming from my own client.
I guess you do seem the type who likes to twist the truth.
Wait a minute. What if we're still smack dab in the middle of Gant's trap?
Something wrong, Mr. Wright?
Lana, maybe right after all. What do you mean, right?
So, you do tell foul lies then, Mr. Wright?
Miss Skye, please testify once more.
But...
Hello, controller? If evidence was fabricated behind your back, then Emma's accidental killing of Prosecutor Marshall might also be a lie.
But I do remember knocking over Mr. Marshall.
Miss Skye, if you will...
I can't.
There's nothing to be afraid of anymore. This cross-examination may not change a thing. However, there is a possibility that it will if you tell the truth.
Very well. I'll testify about what I really saw. Finally. Alright, the witness may testify once more, for the final time.
Actual crime scene.
When I arrived, I found Mr. Marshall's body, impaled on that suit of armor's sword. Emma and Dark were lying unconscious on the floor nearby. When I saw what happened, I thought she did it. That's why I erased all the evidence that linked her to the murder. I had Chief Gant help me remove the body from the sword and carry it. But if it all really was a fabrication, Emma might be innocent. Unbelievable! The body was impaled on the armor's sword?
You were the only one who saw that. If only you had proof.
Actually, I do have proof.
Oh?
I gave it to Mr. Wright just this morning.
What? To me?
It's a picture I took of the crime scene as I encountered it. I thought it might be needed.
But I didn't remember receiving a picture like that.
Lana must have known. See, Mr. Wright, she really does have faith in you.
Very well, Mr. Wright.
Please present this picture.
I don't remember receiving any pictures from Lana.
Lana said she gave it to you this morning, right?
I seem to remember getting something from her then. Ja, das Law-Buch hier.
Let's check that evidence again. There must be a picture in there somewhere.
Ja, hier Evidence Law. Ich hab's ja gar nie angeguckt. Lul. Okay.
Pio.
Oh. Hey, there's a picture here.
Oh my. This is the actual crime scene. No other detective saw the crime scene like this. Because I contacted Criminal Affairs only after I had rearranged everything.
Lana's picture, crime scene photo from the case 2 years ago taken.
Mr. Wright! That piece cut out from his vest, could that be...
The cloth he found inside Chief Gant's safe. What's this?
This is a handprint, isn't it? The cloth, it had fingerprints on it. Whose are our fingerprints? Those must be the real murderer.
What? But those fingerprints.
They're yours, Emma. Are your lips turning all purple, Mr. Wright?
Anyway, let's get on with the cross-examination. So long as you tell the truth, you should be able to flush out the real murderer.
Very well. The defense may now begin its cross-examination.
Hi? Come now, Archie. This is the poorest excuse for a trial I've ever seen.
Chief Gant!
What, now you want to make me out as the bad guy too? If so, I'd like to put in a word or two in my defense. I'm afraid it's too late for that. What? You already declined to testify. That means you forfeited your right to make statements of any sort.
This must be that risk we were talking about earlier.
Just sit back and relax. And enjoy the sound of the noose tightening around your own neck. Ich hoffe, das Essen war lecker. Ah, so what? You think I'm worried? Sorry to disappoint you, but I don't need to make any statements. What do you mean? The evidence will do all the talking for me. Even if I can't testify, I can still present evidence.
Yes, that's true. Wait, you mean... you still have some conclusive evidence?
No, I don't. But someone does.
Someone?
So, what's your excuse, Righto? Uh-oh. Why have you been keeping quiet about it? You do have something to show us, right? Having the proofs who knocked over Neil Marshall, causing his death. Conclusive evidence that leaves no room for doubt.
Is this true, Mr. Wright?
If I show that piece of evidence now, Emma's sure to be made out as the murderer.
Mr. Wright, if you have any more evidence, present it now. And if you try to conceal anything, you'll be the one appearing before the Board of Inquiries.
What do I do now? I better think this through carefully. I can't afford to make the wrong decision. Should I present that piece of evidence? The one that shows who really killed Prosecutor Marshall?
Erstmal die Controller ablegen. Ich muss nachdenken. Es klingt so, als wäre das eine wichtige Entscheidung. Oh, mein Mikrofon ist irgendwie runtergerutscht. Ich hoffe, es ist nicht zu leise gewesen. Sollen wir... Sollen wir das Stück Stoff zeigen oder nicht? Show evidence, cannot show evidence. Boah, ich habe keine Ahnung. Soll ich oder soll ich nicht? Sollen wir uns opfern? Komm, wir opfern uns. Wir zeigen es nicht. Your Honor, I don't have any evidence I can present at this point in time. What? You lie.
Chief Kent?
You opened my safe. I know you took what was inside. The conclusive evidence. I don't know what you're talking about.
Mr. Wright, why don't you show to him? Why don't you show him? We found it together.
Oh, I see. It's because you know the truth, don't you? You know whose fingerprints are on it. That's why you won't present it. What are you talking about, Chief Gant? Can't you figure it out? Take a good look at this picture. Moment, ich muss kurz mein Headset nochmal richten und meine Haare und alles. So. See the victim's vest? Notice anything odd about the chest area?
It looks like part of it's been cut out for some reason.
You mean you had this in your safe?
What? That means you, the chief of police, have been concealing evidence. This is going to be the biggest scandal in the history of the police department.
Impressive. To be honest, I didn't think you had the gal, Righto. Well, I can't just let you pin me up as the murderer. I'll tell you what really happened.
What? You mean you admit to it?
I was the first person to arrive at the crime scene that day. It then occurred to me that I could use the situation to control Lana.
So you really were manipulating her?
I knew Lana. If I made it look like the blame lay with her sister, then when she saw the scene, she would ask me for my aid. So you assisted, Miss Guy? I told her to arrange all the evidence. I had her plant the knife tip in the victim's body and move the body across the room. And I ended up using that evidence to get Jodar convicted. When I tampered with the crime scene, I hid 2 pieces of evidence. This was before Lana arrived at the scene, mind you. 2 pieces of evidence? You mean those items in your safe?
But why?
For insurance, of course. Insurance? I was sure my plan would work, but it's always best to be prepared for the worst. I wasn't about to let anyone blame me for a murder that girl committed.
You mean you were calculating that far ahead while forging the evidence?
What do you take me for? A fool? I didn't make police chief by dumb luck. See this jaw fragment?
I hit the most legible part of Emma's name. I didn't expect Lana to go and wipe the blood off all the pieces.
But if you fabricated all the evidence, what's to say you didn't fabricate that message on this jar too?
Oh, some people just don't know when to quit, do they? That's why I kept one more item for insurance.
You mean that piece of cloth?
Come on, Ryder. Cough up already. I know you have it.
What are we waiting for, Mr. Wright?
So, you admit to it then, Chief Gant? That you were hiding the cloth you cut off the victim's vest in your safe?
Yes, I admit it. I didn't want to have to do that being chief and all. But it's a lot better than being portrayed as a murderer.
Well, Mr. Wright, what do you have to say for yourself? Just a moment ago you said you didn't have any evidence you could present.
Foolish move, Ryder. You should have shown it then, before it was too late.
It's been a long battle. The moment of truth has finally arrived. As long as I don't mess up here, victory is mine. As long as I don't mess up here. Also soll ich es zeigen? Oder soll ich etwas anderes zeigen? Your Honor, I do have evidence to present now. Now.
Alright then, let's see this conclusive evidence.
Muss ich was anderes zeigen? Ich will das Bild übrigens nochmal angucken. Man sieht die Waffe gar nicht. Also ist sie gar nicht durchgegangen. Wahrscheinlich, ne? Ich wüsste nicht, was ich sonst präsentieren sollte. Oder soll ich doch das präsentieren? Aber das ist doch... Wir wissen halt, dass Chief Gant es versteckt hat, aber... Hat das vielleicht... Ist das vielleicht auch false evidence, fake news? Let me verify this once more. On the day of the crime, you personally cut out this piece of the victim's vest.
Oh yes, at least you finally brought it out into the open.
There's a handprint on this piece of cloth.
Your Honor, the prosecution requests that be immediately sent to the lab for analysis. This handprint on the leather. There must have been a strong impact for it to be left so clearly.
You mean...
It could not have been forged. It must be authentic, conclusive evidence. Nicht forged, also okay. Dann ist also wirklich Lanas Print. Emmas.
Ho ho! You're as slow on the uptake as ever worthy.
Oh, what?
Think about it. Ryder had all this time to present this evidence. Yet he was reluctant to do so. Why would that be?
You mean you already know? You know whose fingerprints are on that?
Mr. Wright, do you really know?
Whoever the fingerprints belong to must be the real murderer. Whose fingerprints are they?
Very well, I'll tell you. Should be okay now. Everything's proceeding as predicted. Irgendwie, ich sehe nicht ganz, ich blick nicht ganz durch, was Phoenix vorhat. Aber spielen wir mal mit. The person to whom these fingerprints belong to is... Ja, da können wir jetzt halt schlecht lügen. Das würde ja sonst auffliegen.
Emma Sky?
What? They're mine?
I'm sorry, Emma.
But why? Why didn't you tell me?
Oh, you're really something, Righto.
You knew this girl did it all along.
And you still try to pin the murder on me.
So, it's true. Tragic, but true. This girl really did shove Prosecutor Marshall to his death.
Hold it.
How could you? You monster!
Miss Sky.
You knew whose fingerprints those were all along, yet you acted like she really didn't.
Miss Sky, it's not over yet.
What?
I said this trial isn't over yet. But I'm afraid it is over, boy. Not only this trial, but your career too. You purposely conceal this conclusive evidence. That, my friend, is a serious offense. I'm looking forward to pressing charges after the defendant is convicted. I'll have your badge, boy. What's the matter? Cat got your tongue? Aren't you going to tell us how it feels? How it feels to chew 5 gum? To be the one who single-handedly turned a poor little girl into a murderer? Before I do that, there's just one little thing I have to clear up. Oh? And what's that? Who really killed Prosecutor Neil Marshall?
What?
Chief Gant, you are absolutely right. This piece of cloth proves who the real murderer is. Who killed Neil Marshall, you ask?
It was Emma Sky, wasn't it?
I'm afraid that's not possible. You see, this piece of cloth contains a critical contradiction.
What? A contradiction?
What is this fool babbling about? I'm talking about a contradiction. One that proves who the real killer is.
Mr. Wright, this piece of cloth. What could he possibly contradict?
Chief Gant, your tyrannical reign ends here. Behold the piece of evidence that contradicts this cloth. Da ist nichts anderes mehr drauf, ne? Ich guck mir das nochmal an. Handprint. Someone left behind an oil stain of fabric. Was contradicted das? Hat das irgendwas mit dem Foto zu tun? Aber ich würde nicht sehen, was. The piece of evidence that contradicts this cloth. Ich sehe es gerade nicht. Ich meine, ich könnte aber das Foto drücken, aber ich sehe es ehrlich gesagt nicht. Ich drücke einfach mal das Foto. Weil das ist halt am naheliegendsten, aber ich sehe es nicht. Okay, das war es nicht.
What exactly is this supposed to be?
This is the picture of Miss Guy took. Take a good look at it. Okay, es war doch das. See where the piece of his vest was cut out?
Yes, his shirt is showing underneath. It's hard to make out with all the blood on his vest, though.
Exactly my point. His chest is soaked with blood. That's only natural. His lungs, no doubt, were punctured. Blood poured out of his mouth.
Oh, ich seh's.
Der Stofffetzen hat kein Blut. Das heißt, er hat, bevor er überhaupt abgestochen wurde von der Rüstung, hat er das weggeschnitten, weil es ist ja kein Blut drauf. Oh.
Oh, but that piece of cloth. Wait, there's no blood on it.
Since Emma's fingerprints are on this cloth, there's no doubt that she shoved the prosecutor aside. However, Mr. Marshall was not impaled on the sword at that time.
No, this is nonsense.
Now then, Chief Gant, let me ask you something. Prosecutor Marshall was not impaled when he was shoved aside. He most likely hit his head on the ground and was knocked out. If so, then tell me, who could it have been? Who could have arrived at the scene before Miss Lana Skye? Picked up the unconscious prosecutor and impaled him on the armor's sword. Then, to make it look like Emma was responsible for the prosecutor's death, said person proceeded to write her name on the jar with the victim's blood. A jar that they then broke on purpose to leave behind a clue and make Lana believe her sister did it. Remember what you admitted only moments ago? That you personally cut out this bloodless piece of the victim's vest? Ironic, isn't it? Though the very act of creating insurance, you proved that you were the actual murderer.
It's finally over.
Huh.
Das habe ich gar nicht gesehen.
Objection.
Oh, that was close, Ryder. You almost had me. Sorry, but you'll have to do a little better than that. I refute your allegations. What do you mean, you refute his allegations? You see, that piece of cloth is illegal evidence. Order, order! What nonsense is this? Illegal evidence cannot be used to convict the suspect. Remember, Aji? Earlier, our rider here concealed a piece of cloth. So then what's your excuse, Ryder? You do have some conclusive evidence, don't you?
Your Honor, I don't have any evidence I can present at this point in time.
Well, that's true. The defense did refuse to present evidence. At that moment, a piece of cloth ceased to be legal evidence. But that's not fair! Did you actually think you could beat me, best me in court? It looks like the last laugh's on you, son. I'm afraid Mr. Gant's claim is legally correct. Well, Mr. Edgeworth?
True, illegal evidence cannot be used to convict a person. Assuming, of course, that the evidence is indeed illegal.
Well, Mr. Wright?
It seems at last the time for me to review my plan has finally arrived.
Ja, ist ein Plan, den ich irgendwie nicht gecheckt habe.
Mr. Wright, do you admit to it? That you purposefully and illegally concealed this piece of cloth?
Wenn ich sage I did, gebe ich ja zu, dass es illegal ist und dann haben wir verloren. Das heißt, eigentlich muss ich das drücken. I admit, I refused to present it at one point. Aha, so the evidence is illegal. No, it isn't, Mr. Gant. It's not I didn't present, I didn't present evidence then. It's that I couldn't. Ja, wir haben gesagt, I cannot, haben wir gesagt.
What do you mean, you couldn't?
There are certain procedures involved when presenting evidence.
No, Archie, don't listen to his lies. He's nothing but a coward. You can't really believe.
There is only one issue left to be resolved in this trial. Is this evidence legal or not?
Very well. Let us settle this once and for all. Earlier you refused to present evidence. If you can prove your conduct was not in violation of the law, then do so now. Ach so.
Ich konnte nicht, weil es nicht dem Gesetz entsprach, dort es zu zeigen. Aber warum nicht? Warum durfte ich das dort nicht zeigen? Also es hat, so wie es klingt, was mit Evidence Law zu tun. Moment, bevor ich drücke, also es wird definitiv das sein, aber bevor ich drücke, will ich das nochmal kurz... Have you approved the police department? Unregistered evidence must be relevant to the case on trial. Okay, also... Tatsache. Zu dem Zeitpunkt war es nur ein Stück Stoff, das keine Bedeutung hatte, weil wir noch nichts von dem Stück Stoff wussten. Und wir hatten keine Bestätigung von der Polizei. Okay, ich glaube, ich hab's gecheckt. Wir präsenten mal. Ich lasse Phoenix erklären. Der kann das wahrscheinlich besser. This is my proof, Your Honor. Evidence law.
Ooh, what's this?
I've done my homework too, Chief. Indeed, Emma Sky's fingerprints were on this piece of cloth. However, at that point in time, this was merely a piece of cloth, nothing more. Oh, so habe ich's auch gesagt.
What?
You see, it's written right here in this book. The second rule of evidence law. Rule number 1. No evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. I found this piece of evidence myself inside your safe. It goes without saying I did not have approval from the police department. Rule number 2. Unregistered evidence presented must be relevant to the case on trial. And here is the crux of the matter. You see, at the time it was impossible for me to prove the relevance between the cloth and the SL9 incident.
What? What kind of nonsense is this? You want relevancy? Just take a look at this picture and...
Sorry, but can you recall when was that picture presented?
That was shown only a few moments ago. No.
He's right. At the beginning of today's trial, that piece of cloth was still meaningless. The person who gave it value as evidence was you, Damon Gant. You yourself confessed to a certain truth. Let me verify this once more. On the day of the crime, you personally cut out this piece of the victim's vest. Okay, ja. Oh yes. Und somit hat er's connected. No! It was then that you approved this cloth as conclusive evidence. Yes, you, the Chief of Police, personally approved this cloth. Und hat selber sein Okay gegeben, das Stück Stoff zu zeigen. The only person who could have cut this from the victim's vest is the one who stood before Prosecutor Marshall in his final moments. In other words, the real murderer. And there's only one person who that could be. Damon Gant. The killer was you. Whoa! I knew I should have gotten rid of him. The good-for-nothing scum. For 2 years he's been snooping around the department, trying to get something on me. Crimes are being committed every day, yet he insisted on hounding me. Well, your crime wasn't exactly petty. You wanted to investigate the case. You recruited Angel Star, then convinced Bruce Goodman. Detective Goodman? Yeah, that's right. If the evidence is transferred, I'll lose my only chance to find out the truth. Please, you've got to help me. Goodman turned him down, as he ought to. Still, Jake Marshall didn't know when to quit. He stole Goodman's ID card and tried to take the evidence. Goodman came to me that day. He wanted to file a lost item report. I went with him to the evidence room. Then all of a sudden he decided to speak out. What are you talking about, Goodman? Can you please reopen the investigation, Chief? We can't transfer the evidence out. There are too many questions left unanswered. He opened his evidence locker and he was taking the evidence out. He said, It's not too late. I'm going to hand all this over to Marshall." Well, to be honest, I was a bit taken aback by his words. I had a bad feeling when he came to see me, but then I thought he'd bring up SL9. That's when I saw it, that accursed knife. I couldn't just pull it out. Doing so would have only led to more blood, making it near impossible to hide your crime. Even so, the blood was just pouring out. I didn't know who might stumble in, so I hurried to wipe it up. I was worrying so much about the floor I didn't realize my fatal mistake. The bloody handprint. Detective Goodman's locker. I used to be known as the crime computer, but everyone has to start somewhere, I guess. I was too nervous. I had no business doing any of it. And you put the body in my car? I'm sorry, I couldn't think of any other way to move the body. I broke your trunk, but what's the big deal? You make a lot more than us detectives ever will. Leaving the prosecution's car aside, how could you get Miss Guy involved in all of this? Well, she had as much to lose as I did if the truth came out. So he took away the evidence from Detective Goodman's locker. I felt bad for having to do it. He also didn't have the time to pick
and choose what to take. So, you left the jar fragments and the glove. Yeah, looks like I was better off being an investigator of crimes than a committer. They all did their best to get in my way. I've got to hand it to them. They do their jobs well, much to my dismay.
Fake evidence doesn't hold up very well upon close examination. You must have known that.
Tell me, Worthy, why do you stand in court?
Me?
You despise criminals. I can feel it, you and me. We're the same. One day you'll understand. Oh, believe me, you will. You're just one man. You'll see what it really takes to bring them down once you try to go it alone. Well, looks like it's time to say goodbye. Oh, Aji. What? Looks like we have to cancel that lunch date. Sorry, old friend.
I'm sorry too, damn it, Gant. I knew you as you used to be long ago. You were once a fine investigator and an example to others on the force. I'm sorry to learn that you are no longer that person.
Those days are gone now, Aji. Thanks for all the memories, though. Don't worry, you'll be fine. Now you have Wright here. And Worthy. With these two around, you can't go wrong. In fact, I can hear them already. The melodious sounds of a new beginning.
There are two things I want you to understand.
Yes.
First, your sister never hurt anyone. Second, Damon Gant betrayed you from the beginning. You see, Miss Guy, you no longer have any reason to keep silent.
You're right. When this trial is over, I'll tell everything. All that I've done these past 2 years. From the time I had Gant help me forge evidence up until today.
So, it seems all the questions raised in this trial have been answered.
I'm sorry, Miss Guy. I couldn't get you out of all your trouble.
My, what high standards you have for a rookie. I can see why Mia thought so highly of you. Who knows, a few years from now, you just might make it to the top. I owe you my thanks, Mr. Wright.
Miss Guy.
And to you too, Mr. Ashworth. You've suffered every bit as much as I have over these past few days. Believe me, I know how much of an ordeal it's been for you.
It was nothing. Liar.
I was worried the pressure might break you. And yet, you rose above it all and guided Mr. Wright to victory. You've done well, Mr. Edgeworth.
Stop it, I only did my job. Oh.
In light of this case, it seems a good self-examining is in order for all of us. Miss Guy?
Yes, Your Honor.
You are innocent of murder. However, although the chief blackmailed you, the fact is you still acted as his accomplice. A trial will be scheduled for these crimes at a later date.
Yes, I understand, Your Honor.
Is there something amusing about all of this? Why are you smiling?
It's been a long time, Your Honor. A long time since I've felt free of these heavy chains.
Well, this trial has gone on for far too long already. Regarding the charge of murder, this court finds the defendant, Miss Lana Skye.
Not guilty!
That is all. This court is adjourned.
Da fällt direkt mein Controller runter. District Court Defendant Lobby number 2. At long last, it's finally over. Emma? Why the long face? I'm sorry, your sister didn't get completely off the hook. But at least she wasn't convicted for a murder she didn't commit.
That's not it. Just now, after the trial ended,
I can see why Mia Fey thought so highly of you. I owe you my thanks, Mr. Wright. And to you too, Mr. Edgeworth.
Habe ja schon gesehen, ja?
You suffered. You've done well.
She smiled.
you know, I did my best too. But Lana didn't say a single word to me.
Oh, I'm not interrupting anything, pals. Oh, guess I am. I'll come back later. Wait, Detective Gumshoe, what is it? You're doing this on purpose, aren't you? Making a detective run all around while on duty. Top it off, you call me here. I've seen happier people at funerals. Hey, lighten up, pals. I'm only kidding.
Oh, are you here because of my sister again?
Nope, not this time. I came today because of you, pal.
Me?
That's right. I thought you'd like to see someone.
Lana.
Should you be doing this? She's still under arrest, you know. Well, I won't tell if you won't.
Emma, I owe you an apology.
It's okay, sis. Don't worry about it.
That day, 2 years ago, was the first time in my life I ever panicked. It was all I could do to keep myself from screaming. All I could think about was keeping you from getting wrapped up in that mess.
Sis.
I asked Gans to help me cover up the truth. I thought I was doing it for your sake, but now I realize I was wrong. I changed after that day. I had to. It was the only way I could make it through these past few years. I knew how much I was hurting you by distancing myself, but I couldn't bring myself to tell you what I did. I was scared. Scared that you'd look at me with those eyes of yours. I was scared of how you'd react if you knew.
But sis, you were only doing it for me.
No.
Huh?
I turned my back on you that day. In hiding what I believed to be the truth, I was deceiving you.
Sis.
I'm such a fool. It took me all this time to realize it. Emma, I'm so sorry.
But sis, you don't have to apologize. I'm
Happy now. You're happy?
Of course. You know, sis, I always knew that one day you'd come back. And now you have.
Oh, Emma. Emma.
No one can change the past. The only thing we can do is strive to make up for our mistakes. Why must we make up for our mistakes, you ask? Because in so doing, we can find a way back to our rightful path. And it is from there that we can move on toward a brighter future. At least, that's what I felt watching the two sisters make up.
Mr. Wright, Mr. Gumshoe.
Me?
Thank you both for all that you've done. I'm sure we'll meet again someday.
Isn't that right, Edgeworth?
Edgeworth?
Stop hiding and come over here.
Hi. Where was he hiding? I just came to say congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Edgeworth.
Right, well, I'll be going now.
Mr. Edgeworth, I hope you don't blame yourself for what happened. We were the ones who acted corruptly, not you.
It's too late for me. No matter what anyone may say, I realized today that I can't correct my mistakes.
Mr. Edgeworth.
Not only that, but I don't even trust myself anymore. Chief Gant was right.
You despise criminals, I can feel it. You and me were the same. One day you'll understand. Oh, believe me, you will. You're just one man. You'll see what it really takes to bring them down once you try to go it alone.
I do despise criminals. I plan to dedicate my entire life to fighting them. But in order to fight crime on my own, I needed a weapon. It's scary, but I've known that to be true for quite some time now. But Edgeworth, who knows? Given enough time, I might have tried to pull something like Chief Gant did. That thought terrifies me. That's why I can't continue as a prosecutor.
Edgeworth, don't you understand? Damon Gant and your mentor, Manfred von Karma. We're both the best of the best when it came to fighting. We're both the best of the best when it came to fighting crime. But they both made the same mistake. You said in order to fight crime on my own, I need a weapon. That may be true, but think back to today's trial. You weren't alone. You were working together with Mr. Wright. And because of that partnership, you were able to present evidence that otherwise would have gone undiscovered. Isn't that right, Mr. Wright?
Huh? What? Oh, yeah. What is this, a pop quiz?
Come on, Mr. Wright, show him what Lana's talking about.
Evidence, huh? Something that neither Edgeworth nor I would have been able to find on our own. Das müsste... die halbierte Liste sein, weil Edgeworth hatte einen Teil und wir haben den anderen Teil gefunden. Das war unsere gemeinsame Sache quasi. Wo ist es? Da. Und damit haben wir auch das Bild bekommen. Das wir... Also die beiden Bilder, die wir beide gebraucht haben.
That's the picture I drew.
Our counterattack began with this. You had one half of the evidence list and I had the other. Apart, we wouldn't have been able to completely restore Emma's picture.
That didn't just happen by chance, Mr. Edgeworth.
It's time for me to go.
Mr. Edgeworth.
If you'll excuse me, there are still some loose ends that I need wrapping up. Take care, Chief Prosecutor. Edgeworth, what will you do now? Well, whatever you do, just remember. You can let what happens kill the prosecutor in you, or you can let it help you grow. In the end, it's up to you. I know. Seems I owe you a thanks too, right? But what I face now is my problem.
Edgeworth, I'll be waiting for you in court.
Farewell.
I better be going too. Okay, but I'll be by to visit soon.
It seems both have a lot to learn and catching up to do. Here, this is a little something for you.
Scientific
Schon wieder. Ich kann das Wort nicht aussprechen.
investigation.
It's the first book I ever bought. Study it well.
Thanks, sis. I will.
And so, another case came to a close. As for the sisters, I have faith. Faith that their lives have only just begun. And as for me, I think it's time I started on a new journey of my own. Journey to rediscover myself.
Well, don't go tracking off just yet, pal.
Huh? What is it, detective?
There's just a little matter to be resolved about the chief prosecutor. You see, she isn't supposed to be out of jail like this.
But I thought you said it was okay.
Yeah, well, it may be okay with me, but folks at the prison are a different story. Basically, I had to bribe a guard in order to sneak her out for 30 minutes. Believe me, it wasn't cheap either.
Way to go, detective. I didn't know you had a wild side.
Oh, yeah, well, you see, Mr. Wright here's the one who'll be footing the bill.
Oh, huh? What?
What, you think I could afford it with my salary? You gotta be kidding me, pal.
Thank you, Mr. Wright, you're the best.
Why is it? I suddenly feel like I want to scream.
I got an idea. Why don't we all go pay it off together?
Yeah, that's a great idea. Come on, guys. Let's go.
Objection!
Und jetzt haben wir die Credits. Whew! I arranged for a friend of mine in Europe to take care of her. I hope she'll be pleased to study under a top coroner. As for me, this affair has pretty much ended my days at the prosecutor's office. Still, I'll manage to find my way back to the field somehow. Then I'll be able to investigate crimes together with Emma.
Oh, also Emma ist jetzt in Europa. Okay. Ich laber jetzt mal nicht. Eigentlich habe ich ja mein Resümee bereits gegeben im anderen Finale. Yeah, I thought I was a corner for a moment there. In the end, they overlooked my unauthorized investigation of the chief's office. If we penalize you anymore, it'd be worse than firing you. Yeah, that's what they said. It just goes to show, you can't shake me off that easily. Okay. Also ist er wieder da. Das freut mich. Ja, genau. Ich habe mein Resümee eigentlich schon gegeben im letzten Finale, in Anführungszeichen. Im letzten Case, wo wir die Credits bekommen haben. Ja. Ich kann nur nochmal sagen, ich finde es ein richtig super Spiel. My new mission is to guard the main entrance and take care of Billy. Can you believe it? I've been demoted to a security guard. My partner's keeping an eye on the entrance for me today. I'll show them though. Someday I'm going to make detective. Yes, sir. Then I can't be just like that dick gumshoe. Oh. Ein Vorbild. Aha. Ja, immer noch ein super Spiel. Und ich freue mich sehr, dass ich auch die weiteren Teile spielen werde. Und ich glaube, in den Kommentaren... Moment. Burn it. Ja, okay. Ich glaube, in den Kommentaren... yes! Satisfaction. Wurde auch geschrieben, dass wohl das Beste sei, wenn ich einfach weitermache. Und ich glaube, das werde ich auch. What is it? Can you see? Miss Dar managed to sneak this into me. She's seeing one of the guards. Ich kann das nicht so schnell lesen. Well, cowboy,
You even gave Bambi a back a smile. Can you make sure Billy and the gang get their water?
Der Kaktus. Okay. Ja, ich denke, ich werde einfach... Beziehungsweise, na... Ich bin noch am Überlegen.
Looks like we won't be seeing each other for a while. As a farewell gift, I put a new meal on the menu. The top layer tastes as bitter as defeat, but the bottom layer is as sweet as victory. Kids seem to dig the turnabout theme. It's a hot seller. Just make sure not to eat it backwards.
Aha. Ich bin mir noch nicht sicher, aber... ja, wahrscheinlich werde ich einfach weitermachen, doch. Ist glaube ich, am sinnvollsten. Nudeln wir erstmal die Trilogie komplett durch. Und dann sehen wir weiter.
I'll never forget what the young defense lawyer said in the trial. Let's see, what was his name again? Mr. Left? Anyway, he said he's been doing something or other for many years. Well, anyway, I've got another trial to get to, so I better... oh no, I forgot my gavel. Sorry, I gotta go.
Okay. Also Phoenix scheint nicht im Business zu sein. Hiernach. Er hat ja auch gesagt, er ist auf einer Reise, sich selbst zu finden. Genauso wie Edgeworth, maybe. Mal gucken, was mit den beiden passieren wird. Maya!
Ah! Nothing soothes the soul like fresh country air. Still, sometimes I do miss hearing you and your objections. Still, I can't go back until I'm a full-fledged spirit medium.
Mystic Maya, afternoon's training about to begin.
Coming? Well, see you around, Nick.
Okay, er hat Maya besucht. Ist doch schön. Haben die sich auch mal wieder gesehen. Mein Mikrofon ist schon wieder runtergerutscht. Mensch, hast ein Eigenleben. So. Hier noch die ganz schönen Namen. Lassen wir natürlich auch noch durchrollen. Edgeworth? Ist nicht hier. Mr. Edgeworth. Ah, Mr. Edgeworth. Oh, Mr. Edgeworth. I brought you your tea. Ah, er ist hier. What's going on? Ein Brief. Tatsuya Minami. Ah.
Thanks for coming to see me off. I can't believe I'm going to Europe. Thank you, Mr. Wright. Thank you so much for everything. I'm a little sad, but I'll be alright. Whenever I want to see Lana, all I have to do is open this book.
Oh, aber wir können es noch, noch angucken. Da ist wahrscheinlich ein Foto drin. Oh, in jungen Jahren. Sweet. Capcom. Tolle Firma. Props gehen an euch. Und da sind wir im Title Screen. Es bleibt nur noch zu sagen, vielen Dank, dass ihr dabei geblieben seid. Für die Kommentare. Für alles. Hab mich gefreut und ich hoffe, ihr werdet auch nächstes Mal wieder dabei sein, wenn es heißt Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Justice for All. Aber erstmal werde ich vermutlich... Wobei, ich weiß nicht. Mache ich eine Pause? Ach, ich weiß nicht. Wir werden sehen. Auf jeden Fall, wir sehen uns dann beim nächsten Game. Justice for All. Bis dahin. Macht's gut, Leute. und tschö.